Okay.
Well done.
Thank you for talking me through this. I feel like you have just been saving the day in so many ways. So,
I've
is
had
it
to
bad
level
again?
up a lot of unexpected skills.
You have been working. Welcome everybody to the show. Welcome to of the Publishing Persuasion. I'm Angela Montoya, and I'm here with the Jack of all traits. Okay, the jackass of all traits. Melanie has been over here doing all the work. She has been, and not even doing all the work, but like, and then some. She's been out here doing every single thing, and I appreciate her so much for it. She's been working so hard. Oh, actually, before we get into how hard you've been working, we should mention, dear listeners, that if you have comments
Oh my God.
or
Yes. Okay, we got the idea from turning to story.
yeah, will you explain, Melanie?
I will. So
Do
we
the work again. Do the work again.
we do different work, my dear. I wouldn't want to do the networking and the hustling. Like, I can't remember who it was, but the other day I saw one of your email logs from one of the guests you got on, and I was like, my God, this poor Montoya has been like emailing back and forth for like a month.
We have our strengths. We have our different strengths.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we have different strengths, and honestly, like, anyway, so we were on turning to story. I was about to go on a side quest. I
Yeah,
brought it
you
back
were.
in.
You were. Yeah.
We were recently invited to collab on not one but two sister podcasts.
Yes.
So yeah, when I was listening to our episode with Turning to Story with Lissa Mia Smith and Anna Mercier, I don't know how you say it. Mercier?
I like when you almost sound French right there. We'll go with
I
that.
think it is French, possibly, because it's
Probably.
IER,
Yeah.
Mercier. So we were invited to collab with them on their amazing podcast. And yeah, I just noticed at the start they were like, they did a call to action to the listeners to just like rate the podcast and like leave comments because it boosts it.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna steal the idea and say, yeah, please, if you can be fucked, can you please rate us and like leave a comment or a rating or whatever? I just said rating, a review. I mean a review. See, I shouldn't do these things. I'm
You're doing
chaotic.
great. No, please, if you love us, please
Yeah.
leave something. Leave a review that like just say how great we are, how wonderful,
Oh, it just might
how much you
help
love
boost us
us.
and help other authors find us.
Yes.
And before I forget, the other episode we collabed with was for Paper Trails podcast. Shout out to them as well with Laken and Zaya Kemp and
Yeah.
Diane Rodriguez Wallach. So
Good. Yes.
I just wanted to shout them out because I really had fun doing that with them. And
Yeah.
yeah, they're fun episodes. Like, can recommend.
Yeah, can highly recommend. Their guests on those episodes in particular were great.
So
They were so
great.
good. So
Like,
good.
they're never gonna have better guests than that.
Never. Never. We bring some different sort of energy, I'd imagine. A
Very
great energy.
unique, very
Very unique.
mindful.
Very,
I
very,
love
very
that
mindful.
Cloacas made it to Turning to Story podcast. And
Yes.
it never ceases to amuse me that we have become known as the Cloaca Queens.
Yeah. No,
So,
I think for sure you are 100%. Like whenever I think of Melanie, I straight up I just think of chicken buttholes. Whenever I think of Melanie, I think, woo, that is a
that is a chicken
that girl.
butthole.
That girl is one heck of a chicken butthole. I will say I was at Y'all West,
Yeah.
and I thanks to Gretchen, our dear friend Gretchen, um, I am now known as the kangaroo scrotum queen. So
Mm.
so and I
Mm.
suppose I have you to thank for that as well. Yeah, anytime I would walk into a room where Gretchen was, she would say, "Hey, do you know what Angela has? She's got a kangaroo scrotum." And like the whole like the table would stop and look at me and they'd be like, "Who are you and why? And can you tell us more?"
I have to ask, were the table receptive to the scrote arts?
Yes. Oh, they wanted to know everything. They, as soon as, like, and Gretchen came with receipts. Like, she showed a picture of, my hand holding the scrotum, and oh yeah, it was a great conversation starter. I'm not gonna lie.
Listeners, if you're tuning in for the very first time, just per chance, I should reference the kangaroo scrotum that Angela is referencing right now is in fact iconic piece of Australia merchandising that is sold to tourists mostly. And it's a can opener. It's made from the scrot of a rogue kangaroo.
Yep,
Because
yep.
they're pests here.
That's
They're pests here, so they have to find something to do with them.
No, that's what I told them. I explained, because now I am a kangaroo scrotum expert. I explained there's a real problem in Australia.
There
And
is.
I told them about the camels as well. Am I
Yeah,
correct?
you are
See?
correct.
So we
Yeah,
had a whole discussion on the ecosystem of Australia.
I love it. I was there in spirit. And
Yeah, you
like
were.
now that it's coming up, I just have to warn you, like whenever I see another piece of like tourist scrote merch, I'm sorry for shortening it again. It sounds so vulgar, shortened. Um, but you're going to be getting more scrote merch whenever I see it. Because you should
Thank you.
have all the kangaroo scrotums if you're going to have the title of queen.
Yeah,
In
thank
fact,
you.
Australian listeners, I encourage you to send Angela Montoya your kangaroo scrotum.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, please. I'd love a hat. I'd
Oh
love
my
a
God, there'd need to be, it'd be like Severed Cape. It'd be so many scrotes sewn together.
Yes, I'd love one of those, like, what are those, like, the like the bottle cap style hats? What are those called? I'd love a kangaroo
Oh,
scrotum
bucket
hat.
hat.
Thank you, bucket hat. I'd love a mixed matched piece. Like, I'd love different colored scrotums all put together with
Very
my
Lady
little bucket hat.
Gaga, you know? Why stop
Yeah.
at a hat? Why not have a fine suit as well?
A whole suit. Yes. Yes. This will help with the overpopulation of kangaroos for sure. Just with one suit for me.
I love the chaotic energy we've brought to this intro. Here for
Well, it
the
feels
last
right.
5 minutes talking about kangaroo scrotums.
It feels right. It
It
feels
does.
right.
Oh,
But also, it also feels like something that could be seen.
oh my God. I haven't seen a physical yet. Mine aren't here yet.
Listeners, I'm holding up a brand new copy of the Castle of Horror Anthology, Volume 12, ripped from the headlines, where Melanie was one of the contributors in this glorious anthology. And not only that, her name was number one, right here in the beginning. I'm pointing to it correctly. Yes, right here. So she's gorge.
She is
She is everything.
gorge.
I don't want to tell you. I don't think I want to tell you. Do you know, like, anything about the inside, like where you're placed
I
in the
know I'm at
story?
the end, so I feel like
Okay.
they've kept. I feel like that's quite the hat trick to put me first on the list, and then I'm at the end. That feels a little bit iconic.
It feels good. It feels like they knew to put you at the end because they knew the readers were coming for you. They wanted to get
I'll
in on
take
the
that.
action. Yeah, so Melanie in her it's not her debut. This is her sophomore anthology, friends. Sentient Slime, Einstein's Stolen Brain. It's right here. Yeah, the very last freaking story.
Aw.
She's here.
She looks
So
good. She looks
she looks
good.
great. Yes. So congratulations, Melanie. How are you feeling?
Thank you, my darling. I feel it looks iconic. I'm literally going to take a screenshot later and post you holding it. She's giving icon, she's giving realness. It's weird because yeah, the last few weeks have been so busy in good ways, in stressful ways, in all the ways, and I've kind of forgotten about the like those things like that I'm on sub, that I've got a anthology coming out. And but yeah, like yesterday or the day before, we did a little Zoom with like the contributors who could join us, like a little launch thing. And yeah, that was the first time I was like, oh yeah, like I wrote that, like it's coming out. And I have to say, this time in particular, like last time was awesome. This time the stories sound lit. Like I have to shout out one of the stories. I can't remember her name off the top of my head right now, but one of the stories in there, so they're all based on like real life stories ripped from the headlines, as it would indicate. So we had to do something inspired by it. And one of the ladies in there, her pitch was like about this guy, and he was like treating this, the only connection he had to the deceased was that he had treated her in her final days. And then when she died, he like dug her up and like mummified her and made a shrine out of like a shrine to her and all like this is based on a real story and she turned it into a
Wow.
horror piece. Like there's some really fascinating stories and I'd never heard of that. Apparently it was like and she said he was never like brought to any justice because it passed the window where you can like seek justice
Wow.
for it. So he never is so it was like her way of giving justice in the story. But like, yeah, that story sounds so wild. And yeah, obviously Claire Lowe, who was in it with me last time, her story
Yeah.
sounds amazing about like the dark side of the moon. Again, based on like the astronaut who, you know, for a few seconds is like the furthest, the loneliest person as they circuit the moon to come back around and pick up the astronauts. Her story sounds haunting, so haunting. And then yeah. Anyway, sorry, I digress onto a side quest. My point is the stories sound lit. I'm very honored and excited to be part of it.
Hell yeah. No, they sound honestly, I'm probably gonna have to read this tonight. Oh
I
no, I have other things to read
You have
actually.
other things to
Yeah,
read.
yeah.
We
But
both
but
do.
congratulations. But
Thank
congratulations,
you.
Melanie. When I'm done reading the other things, I will be reading this.
Yes, same. When mine arrives, I actually want to read them all this time. Like they sound so fascinating. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Woo.
You are an absolute queen, an absolute gem because like I mentioned, there are other things to read. We are currently working on our own anthology, Jingle These Bells, and Melanie Schubert has been working her ass off to figure out the logistics of what it is to like to publish an anthology because we went in this just thinking woo and
Yeah.
not like like contracts. And so Melanie has been at work like networking, talking to so many people about like the contracts and all of that. So hats off to Melanie. I can't express like how grateful I am that you were able to do it. Because if it was me, it would just not be getting done. It would just not be getting done. So like, thank you. And I'm just gonna go ahead and say for all of the readers for Jingle These Bells, thank you, Melanie, for putting in the frickin' work, girl.
Honestly,
Proud of you.
thank you. Thank you. Like, yeah, I think we went into it uh thinking one thing and then realizing another about the business side of things. And yeah, the result of that was panic. But then after the initial panic, I was just kind of like, you know, there's so many people out there who do this. Like it can't be that like it's got to be doable even for a brain like mine because numbers are my weakness. Like numbers and business jargon and all that is like my weakness. So I was a little like overwhelmed at first, but then also I was just like, you know, like I'm so proud of all our submissions, of all our authors, of our
Yeah.
stories. Like I really wanted to take the time to like properly work out everything so I know. Yeah, so I know. And like in the end it's been like a really like empowering actually couple weeks. Honestly it's been the busiest 2 weeks of my life, I'm not gonna lie. But yeah, it's been empowering in a bunch of ways. Like, first of all, like realizing how fucking supported we are in our
Mm-hmm.
community, how like many people were just willing to like, you know, shout out to Sandra and my publisher Jason, Jess Para, and what was her?
Katya.
Oh, Katya. I was trying to think of the lady that I chat to last night, Lindy. So Katya connected me with another publisher, Lindy. Katya's going to get her own soliloquy. Is it a soliloquy? Monologue. I've got my own monologue for Katya because Katya's just been a goddess. Like she's been doing she's been in this industry for so long and she's an anthology goddess. Like honestly, that shelf there is mostly Katya's books, Katya's anthologies. Um, and yeah, so she has a brain to like look at the so I wrote a contract.
You did.
I wrote a contract this week and yeah, I wanted to make sure everything in it made sense for us, made sense for this anthology, that it like protected all our authors, that I could like pay everyone from Australia if I set it up from here. So, yeah, just all these people who have like, you know, looked at these things for me and like everybody kind of had a slightly different experience, but by gathering all the information I could and kind of like learning it, it's learning a new language basically. I feel, yeah, I feel like we have, enough now to like properly go forward and just be like, yeah, we can do this. Like we've got our authors, we know what we're doing and yeah, like whether whatever the anthology does, whether it doesn't sell many copies, whether it goes viral, you still need to know what the jargon is to put in your contract. So
Yeah.
anyway, it's been a wild few weeks, but yeah, it's also been just empowering in another way as well, just because honestly, like for so many years, like I've kind of had to like protect my brain, like, and not take on too much and be like kind of cautious, about like putting myself in stressful situations and whatever. And I do it with like, I don't know, I do it cautiously, right? After you live through a nervous breakdown, you're really cautious how much you take on. But this couple of weeks has been wild because I've been busy and I've been able to manage it. Like that's been just so like I can't even express how wild that part has been for me to just be like I'm busy and overwhelmed, but I'm just like have healed and like looked after myself enough to just like kind of navigate it. So anyway, that
Oh
was a bit
yeah.
ranty, but like yeah, it's been just so empowering just in both of those ways and I'm really like proud and honored to do this with you and Robin and just like put something out into the world and like anyway, so I
Bad
won't side quest too
bitch.
hard. I won't side quest too hard. But I thank you. I appreciate that and it's been my honor because yeah, we're working with some talented people and I'm really fucking proud of this anthology. I'm so excited. We're aiming to announce today that I think we can just do like a post like you've got mail and like we've
Yeah, I
officially
love that.
announced. In I was working on a few of the letters so far. I tried to personalize them and just saying, once you see our post on Instagram, you can share your news.
Yes. No, but I am so proud of you. You're a bad bitch. She's out here doing the thing. She's her own publisher now. And you know what? It's funny because Robert, no, Robin. I apologize. Robert Alvarez.
I just
Why?
started. I
Why
just
was that so
started.
hard? Robin Alvarez was originally going to be our publisher for the
Mm,
anthology, but because of like logistics, it's really, really hard. And so
yeah.
we're going to take it on. Melanie's taking it on. You know what's funny? But Robin's still obviously very much a part of
Yeah,
this
super
and has
involved.
helped us tremendously. But what's funny, I was thinking like, because you'll have to come up with a publisher name. And I was like, obviously, like publishing Persuasion.
Mm.
That just like, that's just PP.
How long have you been thinking about this dad joke?
I've been thinking about it for a little bit. I was like, PP. Like, it's so there's an option.
You're such a dork. I love you so much. I'm just going to use, okay, so I'm just copying Jason's contract in this regard, in which They're called Castle of Horror. Since we're doing it as a podcast thing, I'm just calling us of the Publishing Persuasion as a
Perfect.
publishing house. But because I'm operating the side of things, I noticed Inchurl isn't at the bottom as the signer. So because
Mm,
I'll be doing the payments and stuff, I just signed it and put my name at the bottom.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. PP is still up in the air. It's still an
PP,
option.
listen, I'll give it a think, you know? It would be fitting for this particular anthology.
Just
Girl, it was so funny explaining to these publishers of horror and thriller, and they're like, "Oh, so tell us a bit about what you're doing." And I'm like, "Spicy Christmas stories." They loved it though.
Yeah, well, honestly, it's so fun, and all the
Yeah.
stories are so creative. So
The
it's going to be a
stories are so
blast.
good. Listeners,
Yeah.
we're so proud. We're proud parents right now. Like, so, so proud of all your stories and just like so impressed by your writing skills. Like, really, really proud to work with everyone that's submitted, everyone that's been accepted.
Yes. Yes. Well, everybody that submitted, thank you for submitting.
Yeah,
You know,
we're grateful.
thank you.
If things
Yes.
go well and it's not too much of a headache, who knows? We might have part two next holiday season.
Yeah, you never know.
You
Because
never
now
know.
you've got a contract, boo. Like,
Literally, I got a contract now. If our amazing slutty stories go viral, I'll just hire someone to do the business side of things, as
yes,
we
yes.
do.
Accountants, get ready.
Get ready, accountants. But yeah, like
Yes.
hopefully we're all on track to have it released by the festive period. So
Yeah, I like the way you say that. I
the
like the
holiday
way you,
season.
I just have never heard festive period, but it feels right too. I like festive period.
Okay, excellent. Festive period. We've got
It just
our
feels like it could be in so many different things, like a festive
Mm,
period,
you're very true.
just like PP.
It's a festive period PP.
So done.
That's a great name for a publishing house.
So good, so professional,
It
so
would
good.
match our cover, which I'm very excited. Our amazing editor counterpart, Robin, is also our cover designer. So she's begun musings on that. Also very exciting. We won't
Oh
say
yeah.
too much more now, or will we? I don't know.
I don't know. We'll see.
Your dribs and drabs.
Ooh.
Yeah, before I get too sidetracked, how was your bloody event? It looked legendary.
Oh my gosh, it was so fun. And like I regret I literally only took a picture of my room service platter because I was just living, like so living because
Wait, what did you have? What was on the platter? Why were you living? I want details.
because let me set the scene.
Set
Let me
it.
set the
Set
scene.
it. I'm ready.
So my room, like the balcony, you
Ooh,
walk
balcony.
out on yes, you walk out onto the veranda. Okay.
Mm.
And the high school is right there and it's huge. It's massive. It's this like amazing, super great high school. And then if you like kind of peer to the left, you could see the ocean. It's Santa Monica.
Oh,
So like I was just like when I first got there, I got there early and I was able to check into my hotel room
yeah.
and I just like I went to work because I had worked. I'm on deadline.
Mm.
So I like cracked open my laptop. I sat on the veranda on the balcony and I was click clacking away and I was just like enjoying my life because I was like, wow, I get to come here for one and I'm just like living in this like moment of it's just great. And then so I did that for a while. I went to an event where I did an interview for a podcast. And so that was really fun. And then we went to like the author party where it's kind of like the pre-party where everybody gets to chat and relax. And that was a blast. Okay, so then the next day I wake up and I'm like, I don't have to actually be at the event until like 1 o'clock.
Mm, yeah.
And so I get up and I'm like, what do I do? Like, what is like, I'm just like, waking up, life is good. And I call room service.
Mm,
And I said, I'm here, I'm getting room service. And I got me some, I don't remember, it was bacon
yeah.
and fresh fruit and sourdough bread and like eggs and drip coffee and pressed orange juice. And I love food so much. I was so happy. So I like put on my like K drama. I
Mm.
watched, I ate. I was like, I was just like, wow, I have done something right in my life where I could sit here and, and have fresh squeezed orange juice.
Honestly, that's it, eh? That's the moment, right? That's the moment you really work for.
It is.
Everything
It
else
really
is great. But it's so underrated. Like when I used to work as a flight attendant, sometimes we'd do like stopovers like that. And sometimes you'd have a day somewhere and then it was all local. I never did international, but still sometimes we'd go to Darwin in particular and you'd get to stay there for the day. And that moment was just like waking up, no schedule. Your schedule is I'm in this hotel waiting for the next flight or whatever.
Yes.
In your case, the next event. And you feel a little bit like, oh, maybe it's my diva moment, my luxurious moment. I'm so glad you spoiled yourself because
Me
that's
too.
what that shit is for, right? Like that's that perfect self-care moment. You've been working so fucking hard the last 5 years that I've known you. We've been both working our butts off. And this is just like
Yeah.
the perfect that I just love that. I
Thank
love
you.
it. The bacon, the eggs, the maybe some juice, a little bit of juice on the side. And did you go on your balcony and just like little balcony moment, little
I
romantic,
did.
have a romantic moment with yourself, right? Sometimes that's really
Yes.
precious.
It was so precious because I was
Yeah.
just like, it was just like one of those really amazing moments because I remember I went to Y'all West last year and I was like, oh, who knows if I'll ever be back? Like it would be awesome. But I got to come back. And not only that, I got to have room service, but also like when I did get there, because I knew like once I was there, it was game time because I had one panel and then I was a moderator for a panel and then I had a signing and then I had a SmackDown event thing, which was low stakes, but I knew I had to be on stage. So I knew as soon as I got there, it was like go time. Like
Mhm.
I have to schedule when I'm gonna pee because I have no time.
Damn.
Um, yeah, it was like right all at the same time. But it was amazing because the first panel like went really well, and then I moderated the second panel, and the authors were like some of the authors were authors that I had read like in my like when me and my sister were reading YA.
Really?
Not that I'm not reading YA right now, but you know what I mean? Like that's what like bonded us to YA.
Mm.
And so it was like really cool getting to sit around with these authors. And some were debuts, but some of them were had like they've been in the business. And here I was moderating. But to me the most special part of this event was last year I came to Y'all West
Yeah.
and there was a group of like 4 or 5 teenagers that for some reason like heard me at a panel or whatever and really liked me and they liked my book. And so when I started walking up to where my signing was, my line was full. Like it was
Listeners,
long.
I saw her line. Her line was long. It was
It was
celebrity
long.
long.
It was amazing. And as I was walking towards the line, I hear someone say, "There she is." And then all of these teenagers started like screaming and cheering. And I was like, I looked behind me like, who are they? Oh, it's me. And like, but they were the kids that had found me last year. But this year they brought like 20 of their friends. They had all read A Cruel Thirst. They were all really excited.
Mm.
And it was like the best freaking thing. Like I took time with each and every one of them, signed their books. We took photos, group pictures. like I really like tried to spend as much time with them as I could, but because my line was long. But and that. But like that to me was so special because a lot of the kids, I would say probably most in that group, no lie, were probably Mexican kids or Mexican American kids. And so which is why I started writing, right? Like that was the demographic I was writing for originally, but obviously it's for everybody, but it was those kids, and they found me, and they were there, and it was like it really and truly meant the entire world to me. um I was like, oh, like, okay, besides the room service, this is why I'm here. And it was the most special moment probably of anything I've done, was to see them before and to see them come back, and not only come back but bring a whole gang of kids with them. It was like, I that was it. Like, thank you. It was so great.
That is so.
So yeah, that was I had a great time.
I fucking love that. So that's so special. And yeah, the fact they brought back all their friends, like teenager, like when teenagers like hate or really like something, it does hit different, doesn't it? 'Cause
Oh yeah, they're so scary and they're so
it's so
cool, and so yeah.
scary. I still get sweaty when a group of teenagers passes by in the park. I'm like, are they gonna say something about my outfit?
Yeah,
You never know. They're
exactly.
either gonna be like, oh, great hair, or they're gonna like laugh at you.
Yes, they'll tell you. They'll let you know. And so to get the stamp of approval from really cool kids it meant like it meant everything. So it
I'm
was
just,
great.
it's fucking legendary.
Speaking of legendary,
Speaking of legendary, today we have on a boss agent, the Carolyn Forde.
Hi.
hi. Hello.
Hello.
Yay, we're so happy to make this work, to
Me
get you on
too.
here. I can't friggin' wait.
No, me too. I'm so sorry it didn't work out the first time we planned it, but I'm really glad we could do it now.
Well, welcome to the
Thank
show. Thank you
you.
so much for taking the time to be with us, to chat with us. We're so thrilled. I love seeing all the books on your
Yes,
shelves.
I'm sitting to the side so that you can get a good view of some recent ones or some favorites.
Yeah, I
Glorious.
love to see it. I love to see it. Are those your clients' books or
Yes,
just
these are all my clients' books. Obviously, I have a lot more than this, but I just kind of rotate them. Like fun to play with them on the weekends, change them all around and stuff. It's
yeah,
my Zoom background for when I'm not at the office. I'm at home right now, so
they're like
yeah.
little trophies. You can just move around and
Yes.
I
Yeah,
love
My
that.
exactly.
eyes have zoned
Mhm.
in on the like painting at the back. Is it something
Oh,
special?
this one here?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
actually. It's significant to me because it's I don't know if you can make it out, but it's a scene from Waiting for Godot. It's a scene with Lucky and Pazzo. Um, and he's kind of sitting on a chair and Lucky is carrying the bags and everything. And it's like one of our favorite um plays, and we've gone many times to different iterations of that play, and just really big fan of Samuel Beckett. So that's why that's on there. Yeah. Yeah.
Iconic. It's like very
Yeah.
like I don't know, almost eerie. Just draws the eye directly to it.
Oh, that's cool. I've never had anybody comment on it before. You're very observant. We're actually we just got tickets to see Keanu Reeves and Alex Winters, who are the Bill and Ted, from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. They're doing Waiting for Godot. So
No
it
way.
I got tickets for December. Like that's how excited I am. But yeah. Anyway.
That is wild.
Yeah,
I
isn't
love
that fun?
that. Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I'm so
How fun
excited.
to see them
Yeah.
on the stage like that, especially for one of your favorite plays.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
Well, okay, well, I feel like we're starting to get to know you already,
You are.
and I'm liking what I'm hearing.
You know all the
But
important stuff already.
yeah, all the good. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I'm a literary agent based in Toronto, Canada, where I work for a North American agency that has agents all over. So our agency is not particularly Canadian, although our head office is in Toronto. And I don't have kids. I live with my husband, who is a TV news producer and also did a book last year, a humor book, which I repped, believe it or not. I'll show you it.
Yes, please.
Yeah, this one here, Moons of Stupider.
Glorious.
It's hilarious stories from stuff in the news. So it's like little snippets, like one of those books that you pick up and put down. You don't really necessarily read cover to cover. But so it's my husband and I and our cat Polly, who is a polydactyl Maine Coon and has 7 extra toes. She has 25 toes. So she has little hands, like little thumbs, and picks things up and is kind of like, I don't know, is missing link an insult, but she's something. She's like a little bit cat plus plus. Yeah.
Oh my
Might
God.
join us because she often joins Zooms. So pop her head up maybe. But yeah.
If she joins us, I'm going to be like, show me the
Okay.
toes.
Oh yeah. Can't miss them.
Yeah, show me the beans.
Yeah.
Well,
We have a
our
lot of
next
beans
question-
on tap here. Yeah.
Our next question is, what's the strangest thing you own? Would you say it's the multi-digited cat?
I mean, I don't like to call her a thing, and I hate saying that I own her because, like, she's like my baby, so it's
Yeah.
weird, right? But I do think so. And also, this is another thing here on the wall that I think it's maybe unique. I don't know. I was thinking about this, and I do own a lot of strange things, so I wasn't sure where to go with it. But I thought this might be in theme with the podcast. This framed thing. I'm not sure if you can make it out. But it says, okay, so the context is that I'm a big fan of Anne Rice, and I'm also a big fan of Margaret Atwood. And this has 5 lines that are the same that say Théâtre de Vampire. So it's it's out of the Anne Rice book, Interview with a Vampire. It was made by Margaret Atwood on the typewriter that wrote The Handmaid's Tale, or that created The Handmaid's Tale.
Oh
Cool,
my
right?
God.
Yeah. It's signed by Margaret Atwood too. I bought it at an auction. It was a fundraiser for the Writers Trust, which is a Canadian association that supports writers and like helps writers in need and creates awards for writers. And yeah, so yeah.
That is so
I
cool.
thought that's a cool, interesting
Iconic.
little thing that your audience might like. Yeah. Yeah.
That's so impressive. That is
It's cool, right?
amazing.
I mean, it's just a piece of paper with a bit of typing on it, but I like it a lot.
Yeah, no, it's so freaking unique too.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like,
there's
not
only the
everybody's
one.
saying they
Yeah.
have that on
Yeah.
their wall. Like that's
No.
cool.
Yeah, she created them just for that night, and there were different books that she took like a line from and repeated. The theme was Gothic something, so I found the Anne Rice one, and I want that one.
Yes,
Yeah.
you did good.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I freaking love that. What
Yeah.
is something that you think about way too much? What's your Roman Empire?
Traveling probably, and cats and dogs and animals on the internet, all animals on the internet. Worryingly getting pretty interested in parrots, but I'm not going to get one. But like that,
Please get one.
I know they're so interesting. So
They're
anyway,
interesting.
I just don't want the responsibility of 80-year commitment. But I like animals a lot. I'm always pestering my husband, like, look at this, look at this, look at this. I love, if I could, I would have a lot of animals. And so I only have the one cat, unfortunately, but we live in Toronto and it's a small apartment. So yeah, I think animals and then traveling is like an obsession too. So
Yeah.
I think those are pretty good things to be
Yeah.
obsessed about.
I
Yeah.
agree. Do you have a favorite place you've been to, like somewhere that just like calls to your heart to always return to, or like that you haven't been to yet?
I do. I have long lists of like places I want to go that I haven't been to, but I do have a special place in my heart for 2 places really. One is Mexico. I lived in Mexico teaching English as a second language in Chiapas, which is the most southerly state in Mexico, and it was really like life-changing for me. And so I have like a special feeling for that. And another place I taught English was in a little town, which was so kind of Gothic and amazing, outside of Prague, an hour and a half away from Prague, called Kutna Hora, which is a UNESCO protected town. And so it's like a little mini Prague, but like without tons of tourists, and it has like the only three-spired church in Eastern Europe, and it has like a lot of things, and it's built over an old silver mine, and so like you could go, there were things like that you could go down and see, and had a very medieval vibe, and there's something about it. Apparently, it has all
Ooh.
these ley lines there. So I didn't know anything about that at the time, but when I was there, someone told me that, and then I looked into it like later, and people say the energy there is special, and I would believe that based on how I felt about the place, but could just
Ooh,
be
I got
making
a
that up.
chill just listening to you talk about
Yeah.
it.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Very like magical and like
Yes.
mystical. And something
Yes.
about the silver mines under the whole
Hmm.
town. There's a fantasy novel there somewhere.
Yes. Yeah. And in fact, the apartment I lived in was on the Old Town Square and in its basement. So I was on the third floor, and in the basement of the apartment, sometimes they would open this like hatch and you could go down, and there was a bar down there in the old silver mine, a
Oh,
Oh
wine
my
bar.
gosh,
Very
that's
occasionally
wild.
open. You could never really tell when. Just like a
adds
hole in
to
the ground.
bucket list. I'm adding it on my list.
Yeah. 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 Anyway, yeah, those are the places I think that if I, tomorrow could go anywhere, maybe one of those. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that makes sense. 100 billion percent. That makes a
Mhm.
lot of sense. So you mentioned that you were an English teacher in these
Mhm.
places. So how, at what point did you become a literary agent? Like, did you know that's what you always wanted to do? Like, can you take us?
No, I didn't know. I didn't know at all. So for me, I had a really circuitous route. Like I'm Gen X through and through. Like I know what I was doing. I came out of university and was like, ugh, I hate my job. I hate everything. And so I think I worked in a sales and marketing position, and then for 4 years after college, and then I decided to go traveling and teaching English as a second language because I just really didn't like the job, and I didn't have any like connection to what I was doing. And so I guess I was searching for something. So I did teach in that town I mentioned in the Czech Republic. And then I also taught in Mexico. And then I also came back to Toronto in between while I was trying to figure out what to do. And then I worked as an English language teacher here for a summer. And in that time, I applied to be they're called JETS. I don't know if anyone's heard of it, but it's
Yeah,
a Japanese exchange teaching
I was
program
gonna
in
do
Japan.
it.
I did it. It was great. I was there for 3 years, and I spent 1 year in Sendai, which is a town that was unfortunately, wiped out by a tsunami. The city, but in 2012 it was wiped out. But I was there before that, and then I spent 2 years in Okinawa, and a little tiny island south of the mainland called Miyako-jima. So Japan's
Mhm.
longest white sand beaches. Anyway, it was amazing. And during that time, sort of in between the summer, I had met a friend who was teaching English as well in Toronto, and she had a manuscript sort of hanging out of her bag, and I saw it, and I was like, "What's that? What do you have there?" Because I've always been like an obsessive reader, and she was like, "Oh, it's a manuscript." And I'm like, "What's that?" I've never even heard of that or thought of that. And she said, well, I read manuscripts for Penguin. And I was like, that's probably the first time it clicked in my head that publishing was a business, that there were companies that you could read for a living, all those things. So it really was like, I'm interested in that. And so she started sending me job postings. And at one point, before I went to Japan, in the time that I was like applying to go to Japan, because it takes about a year, I got my very first publishing job, which was a publicity assistant job at a company that no longer exists anymore. But it was a really good little taste of it, and I think I thought that I wanted to be a publicist um, at that time. And then I went to Japan, and during that time in Japan, I used the time to take a publishing course from a Scottish university. They don't have the program anymore. It was called Robert Gordon University. It was in Aberdeen, and it was like online. And so I did that, and then I came back to Canada via Vancouver, which has the Simon Fraser book publishing program, and they have an intensive in the summer for 2 weeks. So I took that. So I had these two like cobbled together by my weird way of qualifying myself. And then I came back and I applied for jobs, thinking I wanted to be a publicist. I applied everywhere. It took me 6 months, didn't get a job. And then I did get a an interview at an agency, and I didn't really know what they did, to be honest. Like I had some idea that they worked with writers, but I didn't really know what they did. But I ended up getting the job as a receptionist. And I worked there I think I was there 8 months before I was promoted to be the assistant to the president, which I stayed in that role for 6 years. And at that time, I was able to bring on some clients for myself, to share some clients with him. And then I stayed at that company for 14 years before I moved to the company I'm at now 6 years ago. So that's the path. It was very a marriage of loving reading and liking the idea of like selling and like marketing something that you care about, which was what was missing before when I worked in sales. So the idea that you can, and also what I loved about it was you have something in common with your colleagues. Like you can talk about a book. You might like so and so from accounting think you have nothing in common with them, but if the company was all talking about a book and they'd read it, that was a common ground that I didn't find in other professions. And so I think that's probably true across the arts, really. Like you have something beyond the business in common. Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
that. And I definitely get that sense, like, as our community grows and stuff, I do find that, like, writing people, publishing people just, like, kind of think different. There's just, like you say, there's
Yes.
just more to talk about than, like, the average
Yeah.
person on
Yeah.
the street because our minds
Totally.
process a little differently. I
Yeah.
love
I think
all of
that's
that so much.
good.
Yeah, you
Thanks.
sound like a person who kind of, like, follows the big magic trail, like,
Yeah.
you
I don't know
follow
if
the
I knew any better, but I'm glad I did it the way I did it, honestly.
Mm,
People
yeah.
ask me for advice, and I'm like, well, I'm not really sure you should do it my way, but this is how I did it. I think
Yeah.
things are different now, right? Like I feel like now everyone comes, the interns that come all have masters and publish it. Like everyone is so prepared, and I really wasn't. And so I think that's a product of a different time,
Right.
maybe.
Yeah. Life
Hmm.
prepared you
Yeah.
for it
Yeah.
all. And I
Hmm.
really love what you were saying, how it is truly like this marriage of passion
Yeah.
because we love books.
Yes.
And for you, it's also getting to like wheel and deal and do that
Yeah.
sort of thing for the authors who can't. And I think
Totally.
that's so
Yeah.
cool. I had never thought about it like
Thanks.
as like sort of like this marriage of all the things, all of
Yeah.
things that, and we've noticed a lot when we interview authors, or not authors, agents, that a lot
Hmm.
of them have thought about being lawyers,
Hmm.
or that are just like out here wanting to negotiate. And it's
Yeah.
something I could never do. I would be like, yeah, here, take it.
I actually love negotiating, but I think and I don't really, I'm not hugely into astrology, but I'm a Libra, and I think I have the like ability to see it from the other person's point of view and always try to give them something that they want in exchange for what I want. And also one of the things I didn't mention was when I worked at the previous agency, my path was I worked in international rights as well. So that meant I got to travel to the book fairs and sell my colleagues' books as well as my own books. And that gave me a real sense of like what exists in the book world in terms of rights. And like, if you're negotiating, if someone wants to take the whole world, then you can say, no, I'll give you world English and you'll pay me this. And so that ability to kind of understand it in a bigger scope, I think really adds to the negotiation power, at least in my experience. So,
Mm. This isn't in our
mhm,
questions, but you've just painted
mhm.
like such a vivid image for me of like your journey. Do you have like a moment to becoming an agent that like really stands out for you? Like either at like the book fairs or like signing your first client or something. Is there something that like really stands out to you?
I think maybe looking back now, I was like kind of a little bit naive. I was reading the slush pile, which at the time was still paper, which was I don't know if the audience knows this, I'm sure, but it's like the term for things that are like unsolicited that come in and then you have to sort of weed through them and see if you can find some gems in there. And I I had been reading that on the front desk, but then when I was promoted to be an assistant, I was reading it for the president of the company, and I read something, and I really thought it was amazing, and I came in and I was like, this is so great, and I think like my way of describing it was so I don't know. I think about it now and I'm like cringing, but it worked well. I was like, it's something you could see taught on a university course. That's what I said. And they were like, oh, that's interesting. What I meant was it was a highly literary, beautiful novel with depth, but I didn't really know how to talk about it yet. But then as I started to learn that, and when we sold that book in a really good way, I think that was my moment. Like I found this one and And it sold really well in Canada and really well in the States and in a bunch of territories. And it was a beautiful Indian novel. And I loved it. And yeah, I think it just that success coming at a time when I was really just an assistant helped me to feel I could do this maybe if someone gives me a chance. Yeah. So
Gave you the confidence
yeah.
to keep going, and you were on the right track.
Yeah.
I think that's so awesome too, like with agents, knowing how to pitch things and how
Yeah.
to get the heart of the book and the story the right
Mhm.
way. It's so hard to do.
It's so hard to
It's so
do.
hard to
Yeah.
capture a book and make it sound interesting.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you've got that going on.
Yeah, I seem to somehow like, or at least if I like the book. Sometimes there's books like when I referred before of having to like pitch other people's books where you'd be like, I'm not sure how to really make this stand out. But when for mine, I always do. And I think that's one of the reasons why I always want to go to the fairs myself is because like I don't think anyone can pitch my books like me. And it's that feeling of wanting to of feeling that whatever it is that makes that book stand out and is special to you, or that you think your friend, if you were going to give them the book, they would love, like, oh, you got to read this. It's got this amazing, whatever. And then that's kind of, and then positioning it using the like business side of your brain to position it in terms of like who are the comparative successes, like what readers are out there will immediately flock to this book, that kind of thinking. So like so all of it, it's like kind of like appreciating the book, but also understanding that there's like other elements at play, like what market trends and things like that. So I don't know if I answered that question or not.
Yeah.
Oh, so smart.
Yeah.
It's so smart, and I'm a big believer that like hype creates hype. Like if you're genuinely excited about something,
Mhm.
you can't like there's no one else better to be the hype person than if you're excited about it because it just
Yeah.
shines through and then it brings other people who are like gravitating towards that and then they start like everybody starts a quivering with like energy. I'm very into that.
Yeah, and you can't fake it, right? Or at least I can't.
Can't, nah.
Maybe some people can.
I mean, yeah, people probably can, but I feel like when you're genuinely excited about something,
Mhm.
it's like a different kind of like energy to like if you're
Yes,
creating the excitement.
I
They're
think that
both
is.
okay. But yeah,
Both are
like
important. Both are important, right? Like, yeah.
mm,
Mhm.
What sort of genres do you represent or gravitate toward?
Yeah. Well, I am a pretty eclectic reader. I read really widely and voraciously, but I'd say my list is probably 90% fiction. So I do nonfiction when the right thing crosses my path. But just as a reader, I'm more into fiction. So that sort of tends to be what I gravitate towards too, and what people send me. Um, but I have a wide range. So I have highly literary novels that, can get shortlisted for our Giller Prize or some of our other prestigious literary awards. And then I have like more commercial historical fiction. For example, this one, which published last week and is number one, we just found out today in Canada. So yeah, so
Congratulations.
it's Genevieve Graham. She's a well-known historical fiction author, and this one is a dual time. Sorry, it's set in Toronto and Vietnam during 1967 during the Vietnam War. So it's kind of like got this Canadian element that has rarely been told and discussed, and it's really good. It's got like a hippie, cool vibe, but also like explores deinstitutionalization, which was happening at the time, where the people didn't like the vibe, or sorry, the vibe's the wrong word, the phenomenon of what was happening with mental hospitals because they were not being run properly at the time. And so the government decided, let's save money and just push everyone out. And that, of course, had disastrous results. And so that is another theme in this book, which contributed to a lot of pain and suffering of people who were not able to regulate their medications or take care of themselves properly, and they were just pushed out into the street and not cared for. And so that was happening at the same time as like draft dodgers were coming from the States and many Canadians enlisted, which is not really widely known. Yeah, anyway.
that's so
Sounds
fascinating.
amazing.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really fun.
The history of mental health is very fascinating to me, and yeah, that sounds like a very interesting aspect of it that
Yeah.
I've never heard before. So what's it called? On Isabella Street?
Yes, and that's a street in Toronto that's like right downtown. And like the two characters that are very different from one another. One is sort of a hippie folk singer who comes from a privileged background, and another is this girl who's worked to be a psychiatrist and is working and fighting against this deinstitutionalization. They both live in one apartment building on Isabella Street, and they meet each other and become friends. And so that's yeah,
Wow.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds legendary.
Great, yeah. Great.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
you mentioned oh, sorry, go ahead,
no,
Mel.
no, you go.
Well, I was just going to ask, you mentioned you read widely,
Mhm.
and I can only imagine how many things you're reading daily
Yeah.
and queries and manuscripts. So for you, like, I'm not sure if you're open to queries, but when you are and reading them, like, what is that thing that
Mhm.
stands out to you? Like, how is there a thing you can, like put your thumb on and say that's the thing, you know?
Yeah, I think so. I think there are many things, but I think the main thing is like feeling an emotional response. So like I try to read only when I'm feeling like normal, no, because like sort of a neutral feeling, and then see if you feel like crying or laughing, or if you feel really excited to see what's next. That to me is like a winning formula, I guess. So
Mm.
that's what I would say if I had to put one thing.
Yeah.
It'd be like an emotional response.
That makes a
Yeah.
lot of sense, actually. And it's so funny when I mean, how you mentioned like you even have to be in the right
Yeah,
headspace
of course.
to
Yeah.
read
Yeah.
because same, like even going on social media, when you're not in the right headspace,
Yeah.
just nothing sounds good, nothing's fun or funny.
Yeah.
I just love that you have the self-awareness for that because I feel like there would be plenty of people who would just read and be like, crap, I hate it. Like, and they're just like having a really bad day. Or maybe
Yeah.
they watched something that offended them and it's like, it reminds me of that. Whatever. Like it's cool that you have that self-awareness to be like,
Yeah.
today I might reject everything.
Yeah. Or you just maybe I'm not that self-aware, but like I know that there have been times where if I'm not in the right frame of mind, nothing feels good. And so I don't respond to anything. So maybe they do get rejected. I don't know. But I do try to but there is a demand to read so much that you can't really just be like, oh, only when I feel like it. Like you have to kind of, yeah. Sometimes I'll give something a couple tries. Like I'll be like, oh, I was like kind of distracted when I was reading it the first time. And I was reading it in pieces, and maybe that wasn't fair, and I should just give it another like quick look. Yeah. So, but of course, the percentage of things that you're not able to take on is much higher. It's just a reality. So,
Mm.
Yeah.
yeah,
Do you have
yeah.
any advice for authors, writers that are querying at this point right now?
Yeah, I think my advice is probably nothing earth-shattering. It's just like the same as everyone probably tells you, which is that, I think do your research. The amount of times I am sent things that are just specifically what I've said I don't want is a lot. Like, and that makes me just feel like you spammed me, and that means you didn't put any time in. So why should I put time in? But if I see something where someone says, "Oh, I'm sending this to you because you rep Karma Brown and I love her and I feel like her readers will like this," then that makes me feel engaged, and it makes me feel like they know what they're talking about, and I'm not, like, yeah, like I just feel like knowing a little bit about the agent that you're sending to. I know it takes time and effort, but it's a business too, and spamming people, I don't think is, especially when you only really can have that one time to make a first impression. The people who I have like responded really quickly to, for example, Karma Brown, his manuscript I got and responded the next day. She always tells that story, so I feel like it's okay to say it. But somebody like that, they just know you perk up as an agent when you feel that you are talking to someone who has already done the groundwork, and you don't have to start at like -0 in terms of what the person knows, right? So a little bit of like research into what are effective and like realistic comps, not like huge, massive, big bestsellers, but books that realistically could comp to your book. And then knowing a little bit about my taste or what I've said I'm looking for, that is really important. Without that, it's kind of like, why would you bother? Like, why bother sending me like a CIA thriller when I've said I don't want that? Or like a cancer memoir when I've also said that's not what I want. And so it's not to invalidate those stories. It's just like I'm not the fit for it. So don't waste your time or my time.
Mm,
That's what I
Right.
would say. Yeah.
No,
absolutely.
so smart because, you know, we often hear like no agent is better than a bad agent. And so I feel like writers who are querying should do their due diligence and like really research who you want as a potential agent, because it's important. Like you want to know who you're querying and who will possibly represent you.
Yeah,
Yes,
and
because the best case scenario is that person will sign you up and then you'll be in a business relationship with that person.
mm,
So do you want that? Like it's like dating someone that has none of the same like things that you want in a partner. Like even if it goes well on the date, do you want to set yourself up for something that isn't what you want? Like that's what you have to think about. So I think the chances are 99% you're going to get rejected if you don't research the agent. But even if you somehow get someone who's like hungry for what you sent and it works, it might not be a fit for other reasons. And so it's really a good idea to do just a little, and there's never been a time when there's more information available online about agents. So there, it's kind of like, I remember the days when it was like you had to buy a little book and like flip through it and it was all out of date and stuff and they had to mail stuff. That's not the case anymore. Now a few days, a publisher's marketplace membership, which I know costs money, or just deep diving online on the websites of agencies, those that can give you so much information if you're willing to put the time in. And you should be because you wrote a book. So put some time into who you trust it to.
mm.
Yeah.
That's it's definitely like giving red flag if somebody has sent you something you've literally said you don't want.
Yeah. I won't even read beyond
Yeah,
like
that's
what?
so
I'm not, I don't
fair.
want that. Like,
Yeah. Are there any other
yeah.
like major red flags that would stand out for you?
Um, well, this is a petty one maybe, but like when they say like dear gentleman or or dear group of agents and then they don't even BCC, like they just put every agent's email. I'm like, thanks. I wanted that email list, but you know, that happens more than you would believe.
Really?
Yeah. And or they just don't address it to you or like sometimes my name is Carolyn Forde with an E on the end of Ford, and sometimes people put the E on the Carolyn, and I'm like, why? Why? Like, why? Like you had to actually put that, introduce that error, like why did you do that? So it's little, that's petty, but
It's not petty.
it's
It's
like
not.
maybe a pink flag or something. I don't know. Like a, yeah,
No,
yeah,
it is. And now, I mean, honestly, it is a pink, red, whatever you want to call it, flag,
yeah,
because again, like we were saying, like they're not doing their due diligence. And
yeah,
it's important. Like do it's not that
Just
hard. Just do a little bit.
just copy paste the name from the agency
right.
website, and if
And
it's wrong there, that's fair.
and what they don't realize maybe, or maybe they're not thinking it through because they're thinking like the agent works for you, and we work for our clients, but it's a partnership, and also like you're asking me, when you submit to me, you're asking me to read it. You're saying, please read this with your time for free on the prospect that maybe something will happen and you will get to do more work for me and you will eventually get paid. Like you are really like I know I need clients and I know people need agents. I'm not saying like that I'm not grateful when people submit to me, but I'm just saying like it sometimes people forget like they so want to convince an agent that, you know, to love it. But there's also like it's a commission-based job. There is no time. There is no time to sift through something that's a maybe. So you have to really do your work if you want to succeed to um, just stand out. Like treat it like a job application, treat it like a resume, treat it like and do a polished. If you can't do a polished query letter, then you are not ready, in my opinion, for the rigors of getting published because that's going to require a lot more work. So
Yeah. It's
yeah.
just the tip of the iceberg, truly.
Yeah, yeah. And like I will have to write a query letter for this. So why can't you write one? It's your book. You should know it much better than me. Like I always think my job is to get the right people to read your book. If I represent you, my job is to get that on the desk of the right editors and get them to read it. But it's the author and the manuscript's job to sell it. Because without that, like I can get them to say, yeah, I'll put this to the top of my reading pile. But then if they read it and they don't like it, I don't feel that it's on me as much as it's on the book. And so it's a partnership. We both have to be at our best in order to make it work, right? And so I can't do it without my authors and they can't do it without me, I don't think. Well, maybe they can, but hopefully they don't want to. But yeah, so I think it's more like I'm just trying to encourage your writers that are listening to just spend that little bit of extra time. You have put in, and I really respect and admire people that can write a book, whether it gets published or not, like to sit down and write, like it's amazing. I could not, I don't think I could do it. But I think like if you've done that, just do this bit more because this bit more is your introduction to the business side of this, which is what you are all dreaming of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that's it there. It's a business ultimately. And if
Mhm.
you're going to approach an agent, that's like a very big business step.
Yeah.
It's not a write. You don't like write the book and then your next write is an agent. No. That's not the case.
Yeah. Yes. Another red flag is when someone will send me a query letter and they'll say like, I'm willing to edit this however you want. And I'm like, well, you should have already got this to where, like, yes, I assume that you will take edits when you get your book in a publishing house, but don't send me something that you already consider half baked, if you know what I mean.
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
absolutely. Those are good ones.
Mhm.
Well, the
Yeah.
big question, are you open to queries at the moment?
Yeah, I am. I am for the right things, and like I said, I'm really hard. I think I'm super frustrating because people are like, "Well, what is the right thing?" But if I have to define it, it's more like something that could kind of comfortably sit with things that are bestsellers right now, or something that could sit alongside like literary award winners. So it's like one of the two. Like I know that sounds really like unrealistic, but if I had to say, the truth is it's like whatever I really love when I'm reading it. But if the people could keep that in mind, like if their thing is like, you know, um something totally removed from that, then like a practical or a business book or something like that, those are not a fit for me. But things that are really immersive fiction or gorgeous on a line level, then I love. So I do a bit of nonfiction. Like this year, I've had two,
Mm.
this one and this one have published. One is The Raise Your Roof, which is about your potential, and this one is the Book of Possibility. So
Ooh.
I occasionally like a really positive nonfiction book, but both of these are from people with profiles. Carl Subban is the father of PK Subban, who's a big NHL player. He has other kids in the NHL too. And then B Kwame is a media personality. She's on TV a
Mm.
lot. So yeah.
Amazing.
So it's like not very much nonfiction. So it's mostly fiction. Yeah. Yeah. I
Perfect.
love
Oh,
thrillers. I love historical fiction. I love upmarket. If it could be like in a big book club, that's like kind of like a really good juicy story. I love that. Yeah.
yeah. Do you represent mostly adult or all adult or only adult?
Mostly adult. I do have some children's, but it's rare. It's more like when someone I signed for adult work says, "Oh, I did a children's one." And
Mm.
you're like, oh, "Okay, I'm gonna try." Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I
Well,
usually
that's a good question is like
Mhm.
if you know you want to be across genre,
Mhm.
also like finding an agent that is
Yeah.
comfortable representing you.
And that's one of the things we're lucky with in our agency is because we're roughly 50% adult agents and roughly 50% children's agents. And so we, like in a case like that where someone came to me and said like, oh, I wrote a kid's book, I would like get one of my colleagues and I would say, do you want to do this with me? And then they would read it and say like, no, this won't sell. And then I'll tell my client, no, this won't sell, or they'll do it with me. So it's I'm lucky that I have that resource, but yeah. Yeah. I think not having kids means that it's harder for me to know what's a good kids book, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I
Yeah.
love that the agency is all, working together
Oh
and
yeah.
does that. I think that's great. Well, I see
Um,
our time is
yeah.
down to nothing. Thank you so much.
That's so fun.
Our listeners are going to be obsessed with this episode and with you
Aw, that's so
so much.
nice. This is my
Honestly,
first time doing a podcast. So I'm just
Really?
like, yeah, so I'm
Oh, you're
just like
so
so flattered to
natural.
be invited. Oh, I was really flattered to be invited. Thank you so much. So
oh
yeah.
my gosh, you're a pro. Thank
Such a
you.
pro. I would have
Aw,
thought you'd done 100 podcasts before.
nope, none.
Oh my
That's
It's
God.
probably
You're so
Well,
impressive. You're so impressive.
Aw, Angela, you are
I
too.
feel
You
even
guys
more
both are.
honored
Yeah.
to have you on today. And thank you for making the time. And yeah, like a lot of what you said, I think will resonate so much with our listeners.
Oh,
But yeah, it's
good.
going to cut us off any second. So if that
Yeah. Okay.
happens,
All
if
right.
that happens, bye.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you
Well,
for
it's great to
sharing.
meet you both. Thank you so much. I
Yeah,
really
thank
appreciate it. It was
you.
fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bye.
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 Bye.